Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast for the Rewind show, where we look forward to looking back at some of the last times we played this weekend's upcoming opponents. Hello, my name is Craig Thimbo. Welcome back to the Blue Monday Rewind show, where we look at the last time we played our forthcoming opponents in the top division and more matches from the not-so-distant past, although potentially on this occasion, Dave is taking us a little bit further back into the annals of history for our second match. Joining me, as I say, as ever, is Dave for our first instalment of, I used to say, our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Blue Monday build-up. What day of the week is it going to be?
Christmas, isn't it? It's Christmas, mate. It's all over the shop, isn't it? All over the shop next week. When are we playing? We're playing Friday, aren't we? And oh, God, then Monday, and it's all gone. All gone wrong, hasn't it? I can't believe we're not playing Boxing Day. What the hell's going on there? But there you go.
Yeah, quite. And to say, more importantly, it's ruined my intro. So, and what we normally do is we normally have a brief comment on the previous day's match, don't we, Dave? Because we record this on a Sunday morning, but after the previous Saturday's match. But should we bother with yesterday's match, Dave?
Well, yeah, I think we'll do that we'll no doubt do that in pieces, but dissect it forensically this evening, no doubt. But yeah, it was a bit of a painful one yesterday. Let's just say, wasn't it?
Yeah, get your festive period off to an evening full of cheer with Dave. Well, you would have done already with Dave, Ben, and Joe on Sunday evening.
Dave, Ben, and Seb, actually.
Oh, apologies. Apologies to Seb.
Yep.
As ever, the matches we speak about, if you had cause to be at those and remember them, please give us a comment about them, etc. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, etc., etc. So, Dave, Arsenal and Highbury, the marbled halls of Highbury, safe to say, not a particularly happy hunting ground. Hence your choice of the second match.
I was going to say, although, no, not at all. But what a great ground! One of the great old traditional. We all said about them. Not that I ever got to see the marble hallways of the entrance of Highbury, but yeah, I went there a few times, including great memory of FA Cup semi-final back in '78. Just a great old school, one of the original grounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, this fixture, I just have nightmares of Ian Wright versus John Walk towards the tail end of poor old Walkie's career. Watching the soles of Ian Wright's feet disappear into the distance.
It did. I mean, Walkie was such a legend, though. It didn't really tarnish his sort of reputation as a Town player over the years. But I totally get what you're saying. It was a tough watch. Hence, I didn't include any of those games. Just skated past those ones.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. No, but unfortunately, as per the rules, we have to talk about the last one, and it was the 21st of April, Sunday, the 21st of April, 2002. So we only had 4 matches to go in this wretched season, but it was live on Sky, if I remember rightly. Right. Anyway, number 1 in the charts. But given this was very, very close to a match we spoke about last week, I believe it's going to be someone we've already talked about.
I'm going Gareth. Yeah. I'm going big with Gareth Gates.
You can go big with Gates. You can go big with Gareth Gates, mate. That's what
not going big with Gareth Gates, but I'd put forward Gareth Gates as my answer. I can't even tell you what song, but Gareth Gates.
Yeah. It was Unchained Melody.
Of course, it was. Yeah.
Right. In terms of the league table, we found ourselves, as we tended to do all this season, in the bottom 3. Form-wise, we hadn't won in our previous 10, albeit we'd won 8 matches that season.
We said this before about this season. It's just a weird season. So we twice just fell off a cliff, didn't we? And then in the kind of middle-ish bit, we were really good. We're probably, I don't know what the form table looked like, but we must have been like top 2 or 3 form table between, from a period of that Spurs game just before Christmas and, right through January into Feb, I guess, until we've covered this before, till Liverpool rumbled into town. Our form was just unbelievable, wasn't it? It was just 1 8 out of 9, didn't we? And the one we lost was a ridiculous game, which we've never lost at Charlton when we were 2-0 up. Really odd. Really, really odd. Yeah.
Sadly, it was the previous match that did us. I think it was the 4-1 Freddie Bobic
Oh,
inspired loss to
God.
Bolton, wasn't it? And looking at the league table, it was one where had we won it, we'd have been level on points with them and dragged a few other
Yeah.
teams in and
Yeah.
around us, because our last 4 matches of this season included Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United.
Yeah.
And 2002 Manchester United, not 2024 Manchester United.
No. I remember that Bolton, going to. I didn't actually go, but I remember that Bolton match being a crucial one, and I think you can follow it. But I think it was probably on Radio Suffolk or something like that. And I I forget what I was doing, something in and around the house anyway, maybe decorating, and recently moved, I think. And you think, and then I'll just switch on the score just for half time. Hang on, did you say we're 4-0 down?
Yeah, that was the one. I think that was the one where a lot of people thought,
that was the
put a fork in us, we're done.
The nail was 3/4 of the way knocked into the coffin after that one, wasn't it? Yeah, the final one. Yeah.
And speaking of 3/4, Freddie Bobic scored 3/4 of all of his Bolton goals in that one game.
Did he really? Did he?
Yeah, he only scored 4 goals for him, and 3 of them were against us in that one game. Yeah.
I assume he was a loan player. Well, I assume he was on loan. I have no idea.
I don't know,
but
actually. I don't know.
He's one of these players like who always crop up in Town's history. Bobic, that Jankovic, obviously for Middlesbrough, going back to the 80-81. These randomers will just all crop up and were thorns in our side at the time. But it was not the result we hoped for. And of course we lost to them at home as well, which made it earlier on in the season, didn't we?
Beware the player whose surname ends with a C.
Indeed.
Right, in terms of the programme, it was obviously an Arsenal programme. I'll give you that clue. I'll also give you another clue. I can narrow it down to 2 for you, Dave, probably. It was an Arsenal centre-half, and the photo of him, it contains heavily Vaseline, blood, and his head.
I would say that's, looking at the lineup, I would say without a shadow of a doubt, that's Martin Keown.
It was. Yeah,
he was. Oh God, I had that program obviously somewhere. I remember that cover now. How can I describe Martin Keown? Uncompromising. They called him the Rash, didn't they? Arsenal. I think they called him the Rash, didn't they? Bloody hellfire. Yeah, they were a fairly. Looking at, we'll get to the Arsenal side, but looking at that central 2, they were quite a combative 2, weren't they?
Yeah, well, let's do that right now. Let's do Arsenal first. So, the aforementioned Martin Keown alongside Tony Adams, David Seaman sitting behind them with Ashley Cole and Laurent as their fullbacks. Midfield, Ljungberg, Vieira, Edu, Parla, and just the front 2 of. We were talking last week about Bellamy and Shearer being the front 2.
I mean,
Henry and Bergkamp.
Yeah, I mean, as front 2s go, can there be a better pair? Probably more prolific few seasons before. Maybe at the time, York and Cole. Maybe you'd put just sheer weight of is that thing again? Weight of goals, but for a front 2, Henry and Bergkamp. I mean, I think it's probably, if you picked of the whole Premier League era, the top 10 of foreign players coming into play. I mean, they had it comfortably in the top. Henry might even be number 1, and Bergkamp won't be far behind, would he? Just
neither would the guys in central midfield, to be fair.
Oh, no, they'd all be. They would. Those 3 certainly would be in the top comfortably, maybe in the top bloody 5. Yeah, I mean, that was a side that, spoiler alert, I think they went on to win not surprised, they went on to win the double, I think, didn't they, that season? Didn't they? I think. And
they had Ian Wright and Franny Jeffers on the bench. Oh, sorry, not Ian Wright, Richard Wright, Franny Jeffers on the.
Yeah, I was going to say, right, he would have. Yeah. I mean, oh well, hindsight, but there you go.
So in terms of ourselves, we had Titus Bramble playing right back, Andy Marshall in goal, Hreides and Herman was in the middle with John McGreal. Royster and George were our wide players. Tommy Miller in the middle with Matty Holland and Stuart and Marcus Bent up front.
I think we'll get to a game in a perhaps next time, but Miller was he hadn't made many appearances, and I believe this was Darren Ambrose appeared on the bench, and I think it was his, spoiler alert, later on in the game, it was his debut, first appearance.
Yes, right. Yeah, he came off the bench. Yeah. So in terms of the match itself, we may scoot over it. We lost 2-0. perhaps unsurprisingly, given their lineup and our form at the time, we may well have done well to get out of town with a
We
2-0 loss.
we held on, didn't we? I remember holding on. I mean, ridiculously. I'm looking at this, 68 minutes. I can't remember it being that long. And I remember they kept. I mean, they hit the woodwork a few times, but Royce had that. Well, we've seen it on the. We got some footage of it. Watched it back, and that was a hell of a chance from Royce. A brilliant. One of the things that Fanidi, occasionally you got glimpses of Fanidi, George, and that was superb. He sort of swung over this cross, and Royce really. I know Arsenal would have felt well done by had hit the post and bar 3 or 4 times, but that was probably the best chance of the lot, and sort of got a header in from about 8 yards, didn't he? That beat Seaman, but just hit the post. That looked easier to score, and he saw by Burley's. It was 0-0 then, obviously, and he saw by Burley's sort of reaction on the touchline. So, that's our chance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fanidi had sort of beaten Ashley Cole and then outpaced him, didn't he, down the right hand side? So fair play.
He had it, So he still had it, but were you there? I remember being in the clock end, so the away support was in the clock end that day, and I know both goals second half were scored up the obviously in front of the old North Bank as it was.
Yeah. But as you say, Henri hit the bar, didn't he? Lundberg had hit the bar. Bergkamp had curled one onto the inside of the post.
Trademark Bergkamp, that one, an absolute trademark. He picks a ball up, drives, and all of a sudden sort of like gets it, shifts it on his right foot, starts it outside the post, and there's a good bit of action. There's good dive from Marshall, which hits the inside of the post and comes out. Oh, beautiful bit of play. What I do remember about this day, I remember driving with a couple of pals and parking at somewhere like one of those outer stations on the Piccadilly line. Might have been Southgate or Cockfosters or one of them. Getting on the train, and we got in this carriage, fairly busy, and obviously there was some wives and partners of some of the Ipswich players, and you heard them talking about themselves and talking amongst themselves. They were really close to, and I think it must have been Jamie Clapham's wife or partner at the time. Sort of almost saying, not quite. I think she sort of said, "Yeah, Jamie's really looking forward to playing against Henri and Bergkamp." You think, wow, yeah, I bet he is. Yeah, but what an experience! I mean, obviously, what an experience. But yeah, I really remember those comments. Yeah, it's quite funny.
The glamour of away travel for Wags.
They're on the underground then. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it was 2 goals from Freddie Lundberg, and he was a bit of a goal-scoring midfielder himself, wasn't he? He may have scored 20 goals in one season, but he certainly scored a hatful of goals in most of the seasons he was at Arsenal, didn't he?
I remember that day. He had a big old red streak down his hair, didn't he? That's what I remember from that day. Yeah, good finisher, Lundberg. First one, he's a bit. I mean, we're obviously up against him. We saw he's pretty much, the ball ends up in the box, and he's shades of yesterday actually. He's allowed to sort of get his foot on a sort of pick his spot, really turn and pick his spot, only about 8 yards out. And the second one, he sort of gets, I think he gets in front of Bramble from across from the right, and it's good initial save from Marshall. But one of those ones where he doesn't push it away, he blocks it, and he's sharp, and he just bundles a rebound in the net. But yeah, I think 2-0. You looking at their team and stuff, and you go in there, particularly after that. Particularly that Bolton game in mind, you go in there thinking flipping heck. So I think to get out of town with 2-0, you're almost thinking, yeah, we've had a right bit of a result there, sort of thing,
Yeah, and as you said before, Darren Ambrose came off the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, lovely.
Make his full debut.
Yeah, it was Peralta on the bench there with Alan Armstrong. But yeah, you look at that Arsenal side. That is one of the maybe some of the earliest sides with oh God, what's Vieira's midfield mate, French guy? Manu Petit, next to him, probably, perhaps. Although Edu was a lovely player when he got a silky, wasn't he? But I know, having watched on YouTube some old Arsenal players talking about that side, not only like looking at the back four, how highly they rated Lauren as a right back at the time. Yeah, that's a good side. That was a really side worth watching, that one.
Yeah, and as you say, quick look at the league table after the match. It was a side which found themselves top of the league, and a side which would eventually win the league by 7 points.
Yeah, incredible, wasn't it? I mean, look at the goals, man. Christ, man, you were giving teams some beatings that season. Look at that, 86 goals, Christ.
86 goals from 35 games. And on the flip side of that, Sunderland, who finished just above us and therefore we went down, they scored 29 goals in all of their 38 games and still
No,
stayed up. Yeah,
29.
yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible. So I'm just thinking back then, they wouldn't have had Phillips and Quinn, or would they have Phillips and Quinn still? Perhaps,
I think it
possibly.
was around about the time that Phillips was looking to move on because I think he wanted to
Yeah, I
play
think
for England
probably
a
you're
bit
right.
more. So he
That's
may well have.
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, staying up, scoring 29 goals in 38 games is some. And I think that was Peter Reid at the time. I assume it was Peter
I
Reid at the time.
assume it was. Yeah. No, it was. No, good, good memories. Obviously painful memories of that season, but yeah, good memories of that day. And just generally going to Highbury, and we're going to cover another game in a minute, which I must say I wasn't at. But yeah, so we had some good moments there, but obviously from my point of view, FA Cup semi-final and 1 or 2 games I went to there, just superb.
Brilliant. As I say, as Dave has teased us with, we will be speaking about very shortly after a quick word from our sponsors, Atwells.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Thank you, Mikey, and whoever else you just listened to, Chris Rock, trying to get you to gamble and stuff like that, probably, no doubt. Also, we are sponsored by All About Hearing, Suffolk-based hearing care professionals, 2 locations in Ipswich. If you have any requirements, personal hearing needs, allabouthearing.co.uk. Thanks to them, and also thanks to One Stop Badges for their sponsorship and their assistance. If you need a pin badge or you need a badge, jump on to One Stop Badges and take a look around. Thank you very much to them. Now, Dave, almost 48 years ago, we're heading back to the 70s.
We need, given the games that I know we're covering this week, I thought we need a bit of Christmas joy, don't we? Need a bit of Christmas joy in our lives. So we are going all the way back, and literally it is, as Craig quite rightly said, nearly 48 years ago, to the 5th of March, 1977. Punk was in its infancy, I guess. It was all kicking off, wasn't it? Superb time.
So now you've mentioned Punk, we therefore must talk about the number 1 at the time. Now,
well, I'm sure it wasn't a Punk. I knew it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't a Punk single. Go on. I know I'd certainly need. I thought about this at the time. I thought, he's going to get me here. If in doubt, ABBA.
Well, not quite. It was an artist. His biggest hit, although he did have a subsequent hit in the 2000s as a featured artist. He had an idiosyncratic hairstyle. It was number 1 all around the world. He's probably still performing now. A diminutive, curly-haired singer.
Leo Sayer.
It was Leo Sayer, not quite Punk.
A little bit removed from Punk New Wave, yeah. It must be his biggest. When I Need You, was it?
It was When I Need You by Leo Sayer.
Yeah, lovely. My dad, one of my poor old dad's favourite. Didn't like a lot of modern music, but yeah, that was certainly one he used to like. I remember that. Yeah. Bloody hell. Crikey. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he's still going. Absolutely think he is, yeah.
Yeah. And he had that hit in the 60s, didn't he? 60s, bloody hell, the 2000s. He was the featured artist, wasn't he?
Yes.
Thunder in My Heart.
Thunder in My Heart. I'll get there in the end.
You literally could see both of us there, just trying to rack our memory back.
I'll get to that tagline in a minute. I mean, I don't know if you remember his first. I mean, it's not really about a pop, but we cover all things. His very first incarnation was like in the 70s as a clown, Leo Sayer.
Yeah, like a Pierrot.
Like a Pierrot. What they used to Pierrot, yeah, exactly what it was, yeah. So so I'm trying to think some of it. Oh God, anyway, yeah.
Which was fashionable on some of the bedclothes at the time. I remember my sister used to have a
Pierrot. I think there was some curtains. It was all going on. Yeah, no, absolutely.
There you go. Right. You come to the Blue Monday Rewind show for a talk about old matches against previous teams, and you end up talking about furnishings of the 1970s.
I won't let the show go on. That was it. I won't let the show go on. I think was his first hit. I think it was called.
But I must, Dave, because as you say, we are now at March the 5th, 1977. 4 days earlier, what were Ipswich Town doing before in a warm up to this game at Arsenal?
1977. They're probably playing in Europe, aren't they, against somebody? It wasn't Barcelona, was it?
I'll tell you, they were playing in Kuwait.
Oh,
They were playing.
bloody hell.
Obviously,
I was at a warm up. See what you did there.
They were playing a friend. They were playing a friendly against the Kuwaiti national team, who were managed by Mario Zagallo.
Oh crikey, the old Brazilian coach.
Correct. And what is Mario Zagallo's claim to fame? What was he the first person to have done?
Coach 3 World Cups.
Coached and won.
Coached and won.
And played.
Oh, coached and played.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
A World Cup winner as a coach and a
player.
And a player, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that I had a quick look at the men who made the town, as I tend to do sometimes.
Great book.
And they're talking about this Kuwait match, but then they also referenced we had friendlies, mid-season friendlies. Yugoslavia we went to in October. We went to Celtic and played them in November.
Can remember that, I think.
Saudi Arabia in April. With 5 games to go this season, we went off to Saudi Arabia for a money-spinning friendly.
Money-spinning friendly, probably a sunshine break, and probably the narrative of this season. Maybe one of the reasons where we tailed off a bit, but there's a bigger reason for that, probably.
Yeah, we had we had 19 friendlies that season. So these boys complain about the number of games that they play.
Yeah.
And previous to our trip to Kuwait, we'd followed up a 5-0 victory over Norwich. Trevor Weimark hat-trick with 2 defeats to Leicester and Stoke. So we'd gone in on the back of 2 1-0 defeats to Leicester and Stoke. So a bit of a topsy-turvy form.
It was this season. Yeah, it was. We were never quite going to... Well, there was a bit... we started the season off, I think, like a train. When I think we've covered the Liverpool game a few months back when Mariner scores a header to put us, I think, top of the league. And then our form just kind of dropped off a cliff a bit.
Yeah, and Arsenal. So we still found ourselves in third. Arsenal were in the midst of a bit of a dreadful run. They'd lost the previous form, would lose the next 2 after this game. But yeah, we were close to Liverpool at top, but even there, it looks like we could do something, and we'll talk about that actually when we look at the after the game league table. Just
we should do.
What happened there? In terms of the program, I've got a copy of the program, Dave. It's not entirely clear who's in it, but I'm going to get it up without any clues. There you go. Name some. You can probably name the opponents because they've got little.
Well, it's Leeds. It looks like Paul Madeley there, and obviously Leeds against Arsenal. David Harvey.
Gordon McQueen. Do you reckon that is?
Gordon McQueen definitely looks like David Harvey, perhaps going to punch that. That's a great. Maybe that's a great old picture, isn't it? Brilliant old picture that. Yeah. Love it. Have they still got the tags on the socks? I can't see.
They did have the tags on the socks. Yeah, that's what gave it away for me.
There they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah. There to be seen. Right, in terms of the lineups, we'll do Arsenal first, as we did. Not many names here ring a bell with me, I must admit.
All right, so you've got, there you go. So you've got Jimmy Rimmer, who obviously went on to play for Villa, won the championship with Villa. Obviously, Willie Young played. Pat Rice, Willie Young played in the cup. And you've got Richie Powling's an interesting one. Richie Powling ended up, maybe he still lives in the area. I'm sure he managed Sudbury Town. Right. Maybe even Harwich. I can't remember. Certainly, I'm sure he managed Sudbury Town. Number 5 is Pat Howard, who they signed from Newcastle. I'm not sure how many games he would have played for. He would have played for Arsenal. And obviously, you've got the great Liam Brady, George Armstrong, who goes back to Arsenal's double-winning team of when was this? 7 years before. Well, probably the last remaining with Pat Rice, I guess, the last remaining member there. Trevor Ross in midfield, John Matthews, I think, again, another one who basically, I wouldn't have thought he made that many appearances. And then another, we've spoken about front twos, another really quite a good front two of Frank Stapleton and Malcolm McDonald that a season later, obviously, we're going to going to be the front two at Wembley against us as well. But a few
Yeah.
changes there, and the side changed a lot between there and
Yeah.
Wembley.
So there weren't many names. Well, apart from the obvious ones, not too many names that.
Unlike our side.
Unlike our side, yeah. So we had, looking at the goalkeeper, diminutive, Lowestoft German goalkeeper, Laurie Civil, all 5'8" of him.
Incredible. Yeah,
And
I don't think he'd cut it today, would he?
No, he was an inch smaller than Clive Baker. I looked it up. I thought, well, I know Clive Baker was tiny. He was more of my era, but he was an inch smaller than Clive Baker. And he looked,
Laurie Civil was look. That sounds ridiculous, but he was small. Do you know? Clive Baker was quite. Yeah, I got Clive Baker. No disrespect to Clive. He was quite broad,
wider,
stout. Stout's a good word. But I mean, Laurie Civil really was tiny. Yeah, incredible, really. Yeah, I'm not sure he played. I bet if you looked, I bet he played like 150 games for Town easily.
He played 175. I looked.
There you go. There you go.
Albeit spread over about 15 seasons. But yeah.
Well, he was still playing. I think he made his last appearance 82, I'd say. So yeah,
may have been even later than that. Yeah,
may have been. To be fair, may have been. Yeah,
but a Hall of Famer, Ipswich Town. So not to be maybe for his longevity more than his.
Quite rightly, and obviously the back four that was the classic back four, the era that would last through to obviously to Wembley the next season for the cup final. Obviously Roger Osborne playing. He certainly wasn't a regular back then, but obviously Osborne playing. Yeah, again, Walk, Talbot, Woods, all cup final. Wymark, obviously he missed out, very unlucky, and Mariner up front.
Yeah, Mariner's first season, wasn't it, Dave? They'd signed the previous September, autumn time.
Yep.
Wonderful. So do you want to tell us why you chose this particular match?
Well, I chose for the goals. It was a thumping victory. Which is all good. So I thought we just needed something after the dispirit of the 2002 defeat and the relegation that came from that. So I just thought a bit sort of uplifting. What I knew about this game, I knew there's really good YouTube footage of it. It was match of the day. A match of the day, one of the two games on match of the day. Think about that. So it's one of the featured games on match of the day. So that's always good. And as so, I'd have been 14 at the time. I remember thinking, oh great, Ipswich are on tonight. That's it, brilliant. So couldn't record. I had to watch it. No recording or anything in those days. Had to watch it. So yeah, that was always a highlight. And no surprise, Ipswich were on TV as reasonably regular as you could be back in those days, quite a bit. So that was good.
And the goals themselves, there's a bit of a trend at the moment for dinking. This is talking about at the moment, for dinking shots over goalkeepers in one-on-one situations. And there was a couple of occasions where we did one dink and one stroke lob.
Did you call that a lob? Talbot was superb, wasn't it? I think we outmuscled Stapleton, loses the ball, and Wymark, I think in midfield, Wymark places it through to Talbot, and brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, he's a central midfielder, but just bursts in front of everybody. It's a great goal, wasn't it? Absolutely carries into the box, and Rimmer, the keeper, comes out. It's real delicate, proper. Who described Kenny Dalglish? There you go, Kenny Dalglish, European Bruges Cup final. Very similar, and it just chips it over to him in the far corner. It's a great finish, and I think he always used to play really well. He had a great cup final against Arsenal as well, and no surprise where he ends up at Arsenal 2 years after that. I think he was much sought after, and I think it was Barry. Was it Barry Day? I can't remember who was commentating on this one, but yeah, they were really big in Talbot up right through the game, weren't they? Quite rightly so.
Yeah. So that was 1-0, and then 2-0 was the lift by Keith Birchin, I believe, lifted it over.
Classic when a beaty ball at left back just pumps one about 40 yards.
Yes, he does pump it.
Doesn't he? Oh, just class. Great jump from Mariner. It's a really good finish, isn't it? Birchin. He's not on the edge of the box. He's lifts it miles over the keeper and just drops in under the bar. And a real nice narrative about that, because I think he'd made his debut there the previous season and scored his first Ipswich goal. So obviously, in an Ipswich shirt at Highbury, was a happy hunting ground for Birchin. And something else about that, there is YouTube footage of Birchin. He left Ipswich and went to Birmingham. You can find this on YouTube, scoring an absolute rocket for Birmingham, a left foot against Arsenal in the same goal at the North Bank at Highbury. Yeah, so he obviously had a liking for Highbury and Arsenal, Keith Birchin.
The Keith Birchin end, we shall now call it.
Absolutely right.
From now on. A couple of penalties from Walkie and
Mm.
as you said earlier.
Just a funny
Malcolm
one about
McDonald.
Walk. Again, it's Talbot bursting into the box, gets unceremoniously upended. It's proper upended by Willie Young. And this is what took me back. When I was looking back at the footage, you can hear the chants. So it's at the North Bank again. So obviously Walk, who the commentator, was it Motson or Davis, I can't remember, basically said, Ipswich's new penalty takers. Okay, obviously dispatches it easily to Rimmer's right, I think. But then you get the muffled chants of Arsenal aggro.
That's the time to hide your colours in your collar.
Which took me back somewhat to happier times. Arsenal aggro. There you go. Superb.
And so our new penalty taker at the time was still taking penalties. What, nearly 20 years later.
Brilliant, isn't it? Incredible, wasn't it?
Bless him.
Yeah, the Arsenal penalty is a funny one. Would you describe the challenge on the dive by Brady as theatrical?
Yeah, he earned that penalty. I think they call it, don't they, nowadays?
I mean, great player. What a great player! Bloody hell, Liam Brady, super player. And yeah, I think this is a funny penalty actually, because I think if Civil gets in the way of this McDonald penalty, he disappears in the net with it, doesn't he?
Up in the net, yeah.
He absolutely thumps it, and then a comedy fourth goal, which is a comedy goal, isn't it? Some defending that leaves a lot to be decided by Arsenal, and Mariner gets his customary goal, just rolls it in, doesn't he? So round off a thumping 4-1 win.
4-1 at the arse, and this took us up to second in the table.
Yeah.
Look, we're 2 points behind Liverpool with 2 games in hand.
Yeah, it all falls apart.
What happened?
It all falls apart with about 6 games to go. We're playing on, I think it's Good Friday or Easter. I think it's Easter Monday, and we're playing Birmingham at home, and we win that game. But we've got 6 games to go, and this is the famous. Where BT's missing. So BT's having he's keeping fit now. He's having a hell of a season. Well, you just saw the ball he played. That's typical BT, having a brilliant season. Literally, him and Hunter at the back, sort of reasonable. We hardly conceded. How many goals have we conceded? Yeah, hardly, 23. So brilliant, impregnable almost at the back. And this is where BT gets his injury on the bonfire, and he's out for the last 6 games, and we lose 4, we win 1, lose 4, win 1, drew 1, and lose 4, and that just absolutely ruined us, really.
Yeah, we lost a lot of matches. I did take a note at the end of season table, and ended up losing 12 matches to Liverpool.
Yeah.
So we just unfortunately lost more. We only won 6 of our last 15. We only won 6.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't realise it was quite that bad, but I know that with the run-in, I think we're just about. Gaining a little bit, trying to gain a little bit more momentum. Obviously had this win at Arsenal. I think we might have gone on a little run after that, and then that culminated with the BT thing. Who obviously didn't play again that season, and that was it really. Shame. A good chance. I think Arsenal went on to finish half decent season. Arsenal went on to finish 8th, but what is interesting there about Arsenal, I can't recall the timelines whether Terry Neal came in then or whether he was manager then. You probably know. I don't know, but real much changed side compared to our side for literally a year later for the obviously for the cup final.
Yeah,
most notably Pat Jennings in goal.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Dave. That's been brilliant. A nice reminisce down
Enjoyed
memory
that, mate.
lane.
Thank you.
If not for the Leo Sayer chat than anything else. Thanks to everyone for watching. I suppose I can say Merry Christmas to you, Dave, can't I? Given this is probably going to go out beforehand.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. By the time obviously Christmas will be done. No football Boxing Day, but Arsenal at silly o'clock, isn't it? Is it like 8:15?
Quarter past that. The traditional Christmas kickoff time of 8:15. On a Friday evening. So as we say, hope that if you're watching or if you're listening, hope you are about to have or have just had a great Christmas, and we'll be around somewhere. We'll
be around.
Predictions, flagships. Who knows what schedule it's going to be, but we'll magically appear like Santa down your chimney, I'm sure. Thank you, Dave. Thanks very much.
Yeah, cheers, Craig. Same to you, mate.
This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. We shall see you in a bit.